What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of the Alex Hampton Show. I'm your host, Alex Hampton, and today we have a special guest here today. He has been on the show before, two times before, but I
Two
had to bring
times.
him back. Writer, director, and podcast host of the John Campea Show, and the executive producer and director of
Oh
his
man.
series, True Noir. I have Robert Meyer Burnett back on the show. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you for that enthusiastic welcome. It's great to be back, man. Good to see you again. How are things?
Things are amazing. It's so good to have you back. I saw you on the John Campea show today, and I saw you guys' hot takes. But what I was very interested in is True Noir that you released. Was it about 3 years ago, 2, 3 years ago?
Well, we started it then, but it came out
Mm,
this year. We finished it
mm,
back in April, and it's fortunate we're doing this interview now because we're very close to a major international distribution deal
mm.
for it. So this is you're the first person I've said that to. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's gonna be everywhere. You'll be able to see it. Well, pardon me. You can't see it. You can hear it everywhere.
Awesome. Yeah, because if you go, I'll leave a link in the description below. You type in True Noir and I actually have the website pulled up. But you can download it for about $30. It's a really good true detective type of feel. It's like a whodunit mystery, and I really enjoyed it. That's why I had to get you on the show and ask you about it because
Oh,
as
I
someone, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I know I really appreciate that because, we have a whole different approach than just your standard audiobook. So
Right, right. It's like it's really like a story. It's like a film, but in audio form.
that's exactly what I was telling people I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And they were like, "What?" And I said, "Well, why is it that you can't make audio dramas and just pretend you're making a movie and mix them like it's a film? You just don't have the picture." And people are like,
Right.
"Well, how would you do that?" And I said, "Well, you have to have the script. So for True Noir, for people that don't know, author Max Allan Collins, who wrote the
Mhm.
graphic novel that Road to Perdition was based on, the Tom Hanks movie that stars
Mhm.
Jude Law and Paul
Mhm.
Newman, the crime thriller. True Noir is in a way almost a sequel to that. But so I became friends with Max Allan Collins, and Max has written a series of detective novels. He's written 19 novels about this
Mhm.
detective named Nathan Heller.
Mhm.
And the first book is set in 1932 and 33, and then the 19th book is set in the late 60s.
Mhm.
So he's written these 19 novels about this character that goes through the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. And he said, "Well, those are available. I've written these books, and I
Mhm.
read that the first novel is actually called True Detective, and it deals with this uh, late 20s. He's in his late 20s, named Nathan
Mhm.
Heller, and
Mhm.
he's on the pickpocket detail in 1932 Chicago, and it's right after Al Capone has been put in jail for tax evasion.
Mhm.
And his second in command, Frank Nitti, has stepped up and is running what's called the outfit, the mafia, but it's called the Chicago Outfit. And they are the
Mhm.
biggest, it's organized crime in Chicago.
Mhm.
And then our detective leaves our cop Nathan Heller leaves the Chicago PD and starts his own detective agency, and he
Mhm.
gets embroiled in, well, organized crime. He gets embroiled with the mayor of Chicago.
Mhm.
And what's interesting about Max Allan Collins's book is the character of Nathan Heller is fictional, but the people that he gets involved with are actual historical figures. Like True
Oh.
Noir season one is called The Assassination of Anton Cermak. And this is actually true. It's not really a spoiler alert because it's history, but the mayor of
Mhm.
Chicago promised, he got elected, promised to go after organized crime.
Mhm.
And he used his police goons to try and kill Frank Nitti, who now ran the Chicago outfit after Al Capone went to jail.
Mhm.
And uh, at a in Miami at a rally for the newly elected FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Mayor Cermak goes down to Miami to make nice with the president, and at this political rally, he gets assassinated. That happened in real life, and that also happens in our story. So the question
Yeah.
is, who killed him? Was he
Mm.
really killed by some rando crazy Italian who was trying to kill the president? Or was that guy really an assassin hired by the Chicago mob to take out Cermak? And we meet all of these characters. Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator and Star Trek plays Mayor Cermak. Barry Bostwick, who was actually in the Rocky Horror Picture Show and a show called Spin City, plays FDR. So we have this, and David Strathairn, who was nominated for an Oscar for the movie Good Night and Good Luck, plays Frank Nitti. And Trisha Helfer, I was just watching. Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica is in it.
Yes.
Nick Turturro is in it.
Mm.
Bill Sadler is in it. So we have a real. So my approach to this thing is I wanted to cast it like it was a movie,
Mm.
and then Max Allan Collins, who wrote the novel, adapted his own novel into screenplay form,
Mm.
and so we approached the audio drama like it was in fact a movie. So
Mm.
I recorded and directed all the actors, and then I cut together all this the way Max had written it, and then we built these audio environments so we made it really sound like it's a movie. So when you go to Miami for this political rally, it sounds like there's thousands of people there. It sounds like you're outside. The Goodyear blimp is flying overhead, and it took a very long time. It's 4.5 hours long, and to mix this all like it was a movie. So and I'd never done it before. So it was like
Mm.
I kind of had this vision. I'm like, hey, I want to do this. So I hired this
Mm.
audio engineering company called Private Island. I'd worked with them before on movies, and I knew they could do the job. And we just started in, and we had to
Mm.
create these environments. All the environments, like if somebody walked into a building with a marble floor and like the big lobby of a skyscraper, we had to make the lobby sound like that. So we had a
Mhm.
Foley team. So I had guys actually walking on a marble floor, and we recorded it
Oh, wow.
just like you would in a movie.
Mm.
And when we started doing it, I'm like, I hope this works. So, but everybody worked really well together, and I started recording voices. And Anthony LaPaglia from Without a Trace plays Al Capone, and
Mm.
we recorded him on May 27th, 2004. And I didn't finish recording all the voices until November of 2005. Or
Mm.
wait, pardon me, in 2024. We started
25.
in May of 2024. Let me
Mm.
say that again.
Mm.
I recorded Anthony LaPaglia on in May of 2024.
Mhm.
Is that right? Yeah, that's right. And
Mm.
then I finished in November of 2024 recording the voices. And
Mm.
then I finished editing all 4 hours in April of 2025. So it
Wow.
took a long time to build it all. And I was editing for about 5 months. And
Oh,
it
wow.
yeah, it was a lot. And I'd never
Mm.
done, and it was really weird because like if somebody walked into a room,
Mhm.
we had to know, well, how big is the room? Because if
Mhm.
they're walking, how long does it take somebody to cross from one side of the room to the next?
Right.
And there was no room. So I had to figure out, I had to like sit there and count it off. Like if I walked into this room or if I were these characters, like how long does it take to go from the front door of a building to where the elevator is?
Mhm.
And you still have to make it work. And so it doesn't get boring. But if it's too fast, it'll be like, wait a minute, you can't just open the door to a building and be at the elevator.
Mhm.
So you had to figure out ways it was wild, man. And I had to, there were things I had no, I'll give you a funny example. So there's
Mhm.
a horse racing track. They go see a horse race in
Mhm.
Miami,
Mhm.
and there's a fist fight in a bathroom.
Mhm.
And one of the guys is taking a leak at a urinal. And I was like, okay, in this place in 1932, did they have a big trough-like urinal, like in a sports stadium where all the guys piss into or did they have individual urinals?
Right,
Like
right.
I had no idea. So I wanted to be as
Mm.
period accurate as possible. So I had to look
Mm.
into it. And
Mm.
because this horse race track was a real place, I could actually find out
Mhm.
what kind of urinals they had. And I did that with all the guns.
Mhm.
We had to have because guns all sound different.
Yeah.
And they pick things up and they make noise. And
Hmm.
We wanted to make sure the guns were accurate, which was important to me. I mean, nobody
Hmm.
would really know, but I knew.
Right.
So, and we had to figure out, like, it was so funny when I did go in and I was listening to that Miami political rally. My sound designer goes, "Do you hear that? Do you hear that?" And I
Hmm.
go, "Well, there's something in the channel." He goes, "That's the Goodyear blimp." And I was there. I'm
Hmm.
like, "Was there a Goodyear blimp in 1932?" And
Hmm.
he's like, "There was." And then he would isolate the tracks, and I could hear the propellers of the Goodyear blimp. And he made him go from the rear surround speakers all the way to the front of the. And I was like, "Wow,
Hmm.
I mean, nobody's gonna notice all the
Hmm.
work. I mean, you can feel it when you listen to it, especially if you hear it on a home theater. It's designed to be heard. You can hear it with headphones as a two-channel mix, but the 5.1 stereo mix, if you have a home theater or a sound bar, big, it's really cool.
It's funny you say that because I recently just re listened to it again on my TV soundbar, so it feels like you're there. And it's funny, I remember having conversations with excuse me, with my mom. And she said back then they had radio and they would have those dramas on radio where back then all you had to do was sit in a room, turn on the radio, listen to the drama, and you pictured where you were. And True Noir brings back that old feel of like the 70s, and it's True Detective. And like you said, there is like that scene, that horse race where you hear the horses running
Right.
and
Yeah. Oh, yes. You hear, and you hear
you
like the announcer and the next race. We had to do
yeah,
all of that. And it
right,
was all
right.
actors. We had all real SAG actors,
Mhm.
Screen Actors Guild actors, and we had to
Mm,
get proper clearances, and we had to become a SAG signatory and do all this
mm,
work, and it was
mm.
wild, man. It was wild.
Yeah, and one of the questions I wanted to ask you is because you brought up it takes place in Chicago. What aspects of the 1930s Chicago slash Prohibition slash Great Depression did you feel most compelling to explore?
Well, that's a great question because
Mhm.
a lot of these places, like there's speakeasies in
Mhm.
and there was something called a blind pig. And a
Mhm.
blind pig was a business, like say a diner,
Mhm.
and the diner would seem like it's a normal diner, but there would be a speakeasy attached to that business. And
Mhm.
that's why I don't know why they called it, it was just a slang term, a blind pig, but
Mhm.
where the speakeasy was, nobody saw it. It's
Mhm.
like they're not looking in that direction. And so the whole organized crime and how the different factions were working, like when Mayor Cermak was elected, like he would hire, they called him this is true in real life. He had
Mhm.
these two cops, each named Harry. They were known as the
Mhm.
two Harrys, and they worked doing the mayor's dirty work. Like if
Mhm.
you wanted somebody taken out, they'd go
Yeah.
kill somebody,
Yeah.
and I that milieu, the whole Chicago crime
Mhm.
thing was really, and how Frank Nitti, when he took over from Al Capone, really wanted to run organized crime like a business, and put
Right.
it on a paying basis. So we really delve into the idea of prohibition and the
Mhm.
different factions that were trying to control Chicago at the time.
Mhm.
And I didn't know much of any of that. I'd read in
Mhm.
the book, but I was surprised how much real history Max had imbued his story with. He did research for a very long time to get everything right. And so that was a lot of fun and dealing with there's a character named General Dawes who's in the story that Bill Sadler plays, who was an
Mhm.
actual vice president of the United States, and then he came to Chicago and opened banks. So he was a big deal in Chicago at the time, and
Mhm.
it was and how things got done politically in Chicago. It was really
Mhm.
interesting. So
It's funny you say that because like as you were talking, I was visualizing like that era of Chicago, prohibition and a lot
yeah,
of things happening illegally. And I'm like, wow, like the way you were to tell that story to be immersed in an audio drama was actually I've never heard of anything like that before. It's kind of like converting like Avengers into an audio and then you're
Right.
listening. I never thought of it like that until I started listening to it, which brings me to my next question. How were you able to balance remaining faithful to the story, the historical book, like a book of of what it's based on, and also while also crafting this compelling while also crafting a compelling fictional detective story?
Again, that's more of a Max. Like Max had done that in his novel, and
Right.
it was wild because so. And I asked him that very question. I'm like, how, like when you have a fictional detective and
Hmm.
he's talking to real people, having
Hmm.
conversations that you know couldn't happen. All of those discussions were based on things that probably happened. So
Right.
he
Right.
knew that there was a Chicago cop that got caught up with Mayor Cermak and the two Harrys. So what he did was he turned our fictional detective and he made him that cop. So he's like, okay, if this cop, instead of this cop that really existed, I'm going to have my character be that cop, and he's the one that gets caught up in the story. So
Hmm.
Max was always trying to, and another thing that Max was doing is that whether or not Mayor Cermak was actually killed by accident or was
Hmm.
killed in retribution for trying to kill Frank Nitti is ambiguous in the historical record. So
Right.
maybe nobody knows what's true and what isn't. They don't really know. So Max is like, I can set my story in here because history isn't quite set. It could be one way, it could be another. But in his story, he picks a point of view. He basically says, well, I think the mob did it. So then he could craft that story as we went along. And it was really interesting because I started reading up on what was real and what was not, and what in Chicago, like a big part of the show takes place at the 1933 Chicago World's Fair,
Right.
and
Right.
that was real too. And they actually built these 600-foot tall. They had a cable car that went over the fair, and they
Hmm.
built these gigantic towers. And once the fair was over, the Century of Progress was over, they blew up these giant things that held the train cars aloft. And
Hmm.
that was wild. Like you can see pictures of all this. There's some film that was shot. So there's film from this stuff on YouTube and you could see it, which was great for us because we're like, well, what does that sound like? That's
Right.
what I was
Right.
always asking. What are these things? If you're 600 feet in the air and you're waiting for like a cable car, what does it sound like? And so because we would want to know like if there's wind blowing and how much wind was blowing, and was it really cold, like what was it like, and because we had to convey that only through sound, you couldn't see it. So that was a challenge, was how we tried to make you buy into all the environments, which,
It's oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I was gonna say I was gonna say up to you guys, the listeners, to decide whether we did our job.
I mean, I think you did because again, this story forces, well, I won't say forces you, but it invites your mind to have an imagination of what's going on.
Yeah,
Like I said, you guys are very detail oriented, from hearing the horses run, hearing the announcers, hearing people walking around, and
yeah,
even
oh yeah.
going to the funeral. And it's like, yo, like I can't see it, but I can visualize what's happening in this moment. And I wanted to ask you, how did you think the main character, Nathan Helen's character, would appeal to the audience as you were crafting this story?
Well, that's a great. So Nathan Heller was the hardest person to cast. Like, who's
Mhm.
going to play Nathan Heller? And what you do is when you do projects, whether it's a movie or a project like this, you offer the part to. We needed a leading man,
Mhm.
somebody I know who could carry this, somebody that made sense to the investors and all that. So we were going after a lot of these actors, and everybody universally loved uh, the scripts that Max wrote. We put them in. It was broken in. You can get it in either 10 different chapters, or you can get the whole thing all together as one. And we started looking for the lead actor, and it was hard. Everybody's schedule was busy, and months were going by. I was recording all the other actors, and one of the things I needed to do was I had my friend Corey Landis, who's an incredible actor. I Every actor had to read with somebody. Normally, like with animation or audio dramas, you just record an actor by themselves. But
Mhm.
in our drama, everybody's talking to each other.
Mm,
And it would have been like really stilted if they weren't if it sounded like somebody was recording by themselves. So I brought in my friend Corey Landis, who's an incredible actor, and he read with all the actors the opposite parts. So
mm,
then I would take the conversations, and once I got everybody's, I'd cut them together. And then I had
mm,
Corey play. There's a character named Walter Winchell, a historical
mm,
character that Corey
mm,
ended up playing, so he's in it too. But
mm,
so with Nathan Heller, I didn't have a Nathan Heller, and I was running out of
mm,
people to record. So I finally said to my producer, Christine Cheeks, who also cast the piece, I said, you know what? Let's just go to agencies and we'll do it the old school way. I just want to hear voices. Don't tell me who they are. I don't want to know. I just want to hear them reading the part. And so I listened and listened and listened, and there were lots of great voices, but they just weren't right.
mm,
And then finally I'm listening, and I hear this one voice, and I'm like, that's it.
mm,
This is the guy. And I had no idea who it was. So I called my casting director, Christine Cheeks, my fellow producer, and I said, this is the guy. She goes,
mm.
I know, right? And I said, well, who is it? And she goes, oh, it's Michael Rosenbaum. And I went, Michael
Yeah.
Rosenbaum? You mean Lex Luthor from Smallville? Michael
Yes.
Rosenbaum? And
Yes.
who's been in DC animated stuff. He's played the
Yeah.
Flash.
The Flash.
And,
Yeah.
and I was like, really? And so, when you have never met somebody or never worked with somebody, you don't know, like he's literally going to have to read hundreds and hundreds of pages of dialogue. You're going to have to love this guy because he has all of his narration, the voiceover,
Mm, mm,
hard-boiled detective narration, then all the interacting he's doing with all the characters. I mean, he's literally the script's 400 pages and he's literally on every page. So,
mm.
and I didn't know, maybe he was a dick. He he was incredible. I loved him so much. I mean, I have a tendency to fall in love, not in a romantic way. I'm a straight guy, but when I have an
Mm,
actor come in who nails it,
mm,
you fall in creative love with that person because
mm,
with Michael Rosenbaum, like he would do it two or three times, and sometimes he wouldn't get it, and he'd be like, you know what? Let me do one more, and he would do
mm,
the fourth or fifth time and then just nail it. It'd be perfect, and I go,
mm,
that's perfect, dude. Then he would be like, let me give you one more. And then
mm,
he would give another one, and when he asked for one more, he always gave one because then it would be perfect. All the
mm.
ums and the ohs and the pauses and the things and the dramatic acting, and it was so much fun. So there's a lot of narration in this story, and what I had said, because the story's like he's almost like telling you this tale from sometime in the future.
Yeah.
So I figured, okay, none of that was really defined in the script, so I just opined. I said, you know what? In my mind, he's either writing his memoirs or he's telling somebody the story years after it happened. So what
Mm,
I wanted to do, and I kind of stole this idea from Frank Darabont in Shawshank Redemption,
mm,
I recorded all the narration first. So it was just me and him. I was listening to Michael say his lines and record, and we were working together for a whole week. It took a whole week
mm,
to record just the narration. And it was a great choice because he was already so in the story from beginning to end through his narration. When he started to
mm,
act with the other actors or he acted with Corey, he really knew the part and really understood what I was looking for. And I think that, gave a great performance. I mean, Michael Rosenbaum he was fantastic, just
mm.
fantastic.
Now, I wanted to ask you about that because again, Michael Rosenbaum, fanatic actor, Lex Luthor, he did voice the Flash in the
Yeah.
Justice League cartoon, and he has an amazing podcast. Love that actor, and you also had Chris Carr, one of your former co-hosts,
Yeah.
on that project. And I wanted, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, we had done a kind of a test version of this because I needed
Mm,
to wrap my head around. So we did a 15-minute
mm,
short with a
mm,
different actor playing Nathan Heller and Chris. I asked Chris to do it because I was just whoever could do voiceover.
mm,
And Chris was so good playing this
mm,
female role. I said to Chris, I go, you've got to play the main female lead in this.
mm, mm,
And I brought her in, and her and Michael, they have all their scenes together.
Hmm.
And there was real chemistry. Like, you got two actors just sitting at a table with microphones and they're acting. And I'm in the other booth, directing it with headphones on. And the two of them were so good together. Like, I totally believe they were boyfriend, girlfriend. They were so good. And Chris Carr, you never know when you work with your friends, are they going to step up? Are they going to bring the talent? But
Hmm.
man, Chris Carr, she nailed it. Nailed it. So
And that
good.
was and that was gonna be my question. Was it hard to create that chemistry? Because as I was listening to it, it's like they've known each like I know Chris is married, but I was like, is she married to Michael Rosenbaum? Because they
Yeah.
were just they were just going back and forth, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, and that's okay. What was interesting is now in the case of Chris and Michael, because Chris is like this co-star of the show, she's in a lot of
Mm,
episodes.
mm,
Michael, I had to have Michael act with my friend Corey most of the time, but with Chris, I was
mm,
able to bring Chris in because I thought it was really important. I needed that chemistry. So
mm,
Chris recorded her part twice. She did it
mm,
with Corey, but then I brought her back in because I figured
mm,
now that we have Michael, I would really because I wanted that intimacy and I wanted them to seem like they were, boyfriend girlfriend or they met and
mm,
they started going out and they were in this relationship and they were just it was so much fun
mm,
listening to them talk because they were interacting. They were
mm.
playing the scenes from beginning to end and it was literally like what I always wanted to see which was have all the actors record with one another like we were shooting a movie. So it
Yeah.
really turned out well. And
Yes,
Chris
and
was
I
just great.
yeah, her part in it was just amazing. Real quick, you guys, we're gonna jump to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna ask Robert for some more questions. At Momentum Media, we offer photography, videography, and DJ services. Book your appointment today at www.momentummediaent.com. Creating moments to capture your vision. And we are back with Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett talking more about True Noir. Now, we were talking about chemistry earlier, and there are other questions I wanted to ask you about this project. Now, I noticed that you guys had to do like crowdfunding and getting this thing together. Um, as creators, I know it can be difficult getting outside support and even putting up your own money
Which
to
we did.
what to fund this as you mentioned. How long did it take you to get the right budget, and did you go over budget doing this?
Yeah. Yes. To answer your question, so our initial budget uh was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Um, Less than like $500,000, but that was all for the cast. So we have like 25 name actors, and they're mostly what are called favored nations, which means they get all paid the same. Some of our lead actors made more because they had to do more, but if you had to record more than one day, most people only had to record one day. So if you had to record one more than one day, you got paid more. But so we crowdfunded $50,000, and that was really just to get us started to gauge if there was any interest at all. And there was, and so we said okay. And once we had the $50,000, at first I figured I'd just hire my friends to do this. But when I started reading the scripts that Max Allan Collins had written, I'm like, I can't just hire my friends. I have to hire real actors to do this because the scripts were so good.
All right.
And so that's when we decided to spend the real money to get a cast that would really mean something
Mhm.
for people. So, and when people see the cast list, they're like, "Oh my God, you got all these people
Yeah.
to be in the show? Like, really?" And the funny thing is, for me, um, the SAG minimum for one day of work for an actor, the least you can pay them is $150 a day. But for that money, you're not gonna get anybody who's good. So
All
we were
right.
paying our actors in the thousands of dollars a day to make it worth their while. And
Mhm.
that way people take you seriously. And once people knew what they were doing, like when we would go to the big agencies to get their clients, at first they kind of laughed at us until they found out that Max Allan Collins, who'd written Road to Perdition, was writing the scripts. And then when
Mhm.
they saw the scripts and they started sending them out to actors, the actors were all like, these scripts are great. And they
Mhm.
all wanted to do it. So it sort of had this snowball effect, which was
Mhm.
really cool.
Awesome. So I know that when you're putting together like a passion project or something like this, it can be difficult. And I wanted to ask, aside from just crowdfunding, were there other hurdles that you had to run through, like because I know you co-produced this with Max. Were there
Yeah.
any licensing or copyright issues that you had to go through?
No, really good question. Since he owned the material, you
Hmm.
know, it's interesting. The first book in the Nathan Heller series is called True Detective, and it was
Right.
written in the 80s, but the True Detective title, HBO took it for their show. So
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't use True Detective, and I wanted to come up with the name of the overall, like if you want to make more of them, like what would, like, you know, there's Star Wars and then there's The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and they've still got, there's so it's Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. You see the logo. So
Hmm.
that's how we came up with the title True Noir, because noir, everyone knows, is like film noir is a detective story, and we figured true because it's a true detective story, even though the detective himself is fictitious. So we actually registered True Noir as our own copyright and trademark. So we're going to
Hmm.
adapt all the books underneath that umbrella. And then we paid Max for the script, not a lot, but we paid him enough to write it. He was very happy. And then he
Hmm.
obviously owns a piece of the project. And then the hardest part really was getting the actors together, and then for me editing, make sure it
Hmm.
sounded like you had to keep the narrative going. You couldn't be lost, because I'm asking everybody to imagine, like you were saying earlier, to imagine, okay, we're in Miami, we're at this political rally, there's hundreds of people, if not thousands of people all around you, and you have to imagine, like, okay, these guys they're gonna go stand right up over there, even though there is no over there. In your
Hmm.
mind's eye, you had to be like, okay, and here's where the limos are coming in, and I had to figure all this stuff out in my head. So when I was editing it all together, it sounded like you were there.
Hmm.
That was the really hard thing, was to make it sound authentic. It was
Yeah,
hard.
yeah. And that was my next question. I was gonna ask you, what was the hardest scene or the hardest thing you had to do while crafting this together? Because basically you're asking your audience to literally surrender themselves to their imagination while listening to this. And I'm not gonna lie, like when I saw that it was 4 hours, I was like, okay, is this going to be like someone reading out of a book? But when you
Oh,
hear it, it's like I said, it's a movie, and I think the best way to listen to it is through like like a Bose sound bar where you
yeah.
hear like birds chirping and
Yeah, and you
water.
do. There's birds.
Yeah,
Yeah, you really hear
yeah.
all, I totally, and that was actually really hard. I mean, I would say that when we started, it's like when you're writing a script, but it was all the editorial and making it sound like I had all these actors now, and they were really one side of a conversation talking to my actor Corey, but then I took Corey away, and then I had to sit down, and this took forever. Like Michael Rosenbaum would have recorded with Corey or by himself or with Chris Carr. So
Mm,
then I have to take the actor that he's talking to and then him, and they're having a dialogue together. I had to cut all that, like you can't see them. So you kind of
mm,
have to imagine that if somebody says something and they like make a face or something, you have to
mm,
like allow for that to be in there so
mm,
people can imagine. You had to make it sound as realistic as possible. I think that's the thing I'm most proud of, is that it really does sound like all the actors are in a room, like when they're talking to
right.
each other. And it was
Mm,
hard, like when people are talking like you and I,
mm,
sometimes people talk over one another. Some people finish each other's sentences. You had to do a lot of that too. And I was
mm.
creating that in the edit bay, and it was not easy. Not easy.
So I was going to ask, like, looking back at what you've put together, if you had to do it all over again, would there be anything that you would revisit, or would you change anything, or would it be the same?
I think it would be the finished product, I would think would be mostly the same. But if I could do anything, because it would have saved so much time, is my original idea was to get the actors that were acting with one another in the same room. But it turns
Hmm.
out I like David Strathairn lived in upstate New York, and I wasn't going to fly all these people. Barry Bostwick lives in Florida, who played FDR,
Mm,
and C. Thomas Howell is in it, and he was in Dallas,
mhm.
and Katie Sackhoff is in Portland, literally all over the United States. So the only way to do it was like David Strathairn came in and recorded. He was in upstate New York, and I was in L.A., and he was reading, and I'm in L.A. trying to direct him, and it was wild. Anthony LaPaglia was in Sydney, Australia, doing a play, and
Wow.
so yeah, his dark day was Monday, so we had him come in on his day
Mm,
off, and he did it because he's a mensch. He's such a nice guy, and
mm.
I was recording him through a video line. He's in a studio in Sydney, Australia, and I'm in our recording studio in L.A. and I'm listening to him act alone, but then I'm directing his performance, but it was wild. It was almost like we're in the same room together, even though he's in Sydney, Australia. So it was really cool.
You know, it's funny as you were describing that, it reminded me of certain actors who like I met Shamik Moore at MegaCon here in Orlando, and what you're describing is what he kind of went through when recording the Spider-Verse movie,
Yeah.
where he's in a room talking and he doesn't see his other co-stars, but he has somebody directing him, telling him what cues to say, how to
Yep.
say them, and things of that nature. And I was just wondering, would you say creating an audio drama is similar to an animated movie or show in the same way?
Well, the difference with an animated movie or show is usually you record one voice at a time. So somebody comes up and reads all their lines like their side of a conversation.
Hmm.
The problem with that is it always sounds flat. As good as the voiceover artists are, they never quite sound right. That's why I had to have an actor read with them. So my friend Corey, as I said before, came in and read all the other parts. So whoever wasn't recording, he would be on the other end of that thing, and they would sit together and talk, and they were acting in the room together.
Hmm.
That was amazing, and those scenes are the best. If I could afford it and make it work with the schedule, I'd fly everybody in and have them all there and just record it all at once. But
So
that's really expensive.
yeah, so I kind of figured because it's funny. I had Yuri Lowenthal on my show once, and he was telling me, and when they were recording Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales during COVID, they did a lot of Zoom recording, and
Yeah,
they sent them equipment like microphones and things of that nature because they couldn't be in the same studio at the same
right.
time. And I was wondering, was there ever a time where you had to send them equipment, or it just worked out in a way where they could just do it in the
Yeah, no,
studio?
what we would have to do is hire a recording studio on their end. So there
Mm,
was a recording studio in New York, there was a recording studio in Boston, a recording studio in Dallas and Los Angeles, and we would hire the recording studios for hours at a time. So if somebody was in upstate New York, like David Strathairn, we're in our audio facility, and I can be there listening while he's doing his part. And it was
mm,
wild. It was really wild. And that's why the next time I do this, I'd like to get all the actors together because it'll
in
just
one
be better.
room.
It'll be easier to edit. It'll
Mm.
just be better.
So my next question is for aspiring creators who want to make audio dramas in any genre. What advice would you give them based upon your experience?
You need the first and foremost, just like with a movie or a TV show, you need a great script. You need a
You
great
do.
script, and obviously a good story. But the thing about Max Allan Collins is he's written in so many different genres and through so many different mediums. He really understood the process, and he wrote these. He's adapting his own novel, but he wrote these great, great, great parts for actors, and it's all speaking. When you're reading a book, you don't listen to pages of dialogue. There's action and the characters talk to each other. But in Max's scripts, the talking to each other is just as important as anything else. So his scripts were so good. I hope next time to get all the actors in a room together and act all the parts themselves. But that would be really expensive, but I'd love to do it.
And can we expect at some point either another audio drama that's original or a continuation of True Noir?
Well, I'd love to do both. It's just the problem is finding original material that you can adapt into a great screenplay to make an audio drama. And
Mm-hmm.
Max Allan Collins is really good at that. And the thing is, he knows the stories intimately and he knows the characters intimately because, he created them. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's a joy to work with him. And he's been writing this character since the 80s. So he's published 19 books about Nathan Heller. And it's great to have him on set because he's written the thing. If I need something changed, he can change it. It's just the best.
And that was one of the things that stood out about this whole thing. It was a good script, how you worked with Max and developing this character, Nathan. I mean, I would hope that one day your company or like a bigger company would pick it up and actually turn it into a movie.
Well, yeah,
Or
that was, I'll tell you a secret.
mm,
So I asked when Max was done. Actually, Max asked me, he goes, "Would you like a movie script about this character?" And I
mm,
said, "Would I? Absolutely." And he
mm,
tells me a story that's not in the novels, it's in a novella. And this is
mm,
a true story. It happened in 1947 Chicago, and Nathan Heller is on the case again, a fictional detective, but there are women missing.
mm,
And it was a serial killer case based on something that happened in real life. And
mm,
then Max sent me the script out of the blue, and I'm reading the True Noir movie script, and I'm like, wow, this is really good. It's kind of a
mm,
cross between David Fincher and David Lynch, really.
mm,
And
mm.
there was all these really crazy things in it. I'm like, we got to make this movie. So we're trying to raise the money for that now. Yeah.
Oh, I can't. If you guys get that off the ground, I can't wait. I definitely am going to be a supporter of that. And I wanted to ask you
Oh, you got to
just
come
a,
and be in the movie.
oh, bet. Hey,
Yeah. Come.
I'm willing to do it. Just send me an invite and I'm there.
Oh, I know because the more the merrier. The more people we need.
Oh, bet yes. If you get that off the ground, you have my phone number, so
I
we can
do.
definitely can talk. But I wanted to ask you two fan questions about the
Sure.
DCU and the MCU. Now we know that in DCU they launched pretty well with Superman. I really enjoyed Superman,
Yeah.
and James Gunn has spoke about it when asked about Static Shock. And what I learned is that I think DC does not have the live action rights to Static, but they have the comic book rights to Static. And I wanted to ask you from a logistical standpoint. I know that Warner Brothers is going to potentially be sold, and maybe their direction will change, maybe they won't. But I wanted to ask, because they have the comic book rights to that particular character and other milestone characters, if they were to make a live action Static Shock movie without, I guess, Dwayne McDuffie's wife or Milestone's
Right.
permission, could they be sued? Because the only reason why I asked, we've seen him in animation. Like he's been on TV
Yeah.
before.
They would need, I mean, you can't just make whatever you want. And Warner Brothers can't just go make the
Mm,
milestone characters, although
mm,
I love the milestone characters. I'd love to see an
mm.
icon movie.
Oh,
And I
I would
love
love
this.
that.
I know. And then I love the Static Shock cartoons, the animated series they had.
Mm, mm, mm,
Static Shock's a great character, but you still would have to get the rights to do it. Like you'd have to renegotiate for the rights to do an audio drama and renegotiate, obviously, to make a film. So you'd
mm.
have to renegotiate all that stuff. But it can
So
be done.
I wanted to ask, do you think that now we're going into the DCU that the milestone characters would be integrated well
Uh,
in that
totally.
particular year?
100%. I think 100% they would be because I like those characters. I have all those books and I really liked what they were doing with those books.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, yeah, they would absolutely, they would make a rights deal, Warner Brothers with DC, and they'd make
Mm-hmm.
a rights deal and go out and make it. I think they should do that, you
I
know?
think so too. I think that would be dope. And my next question is for the MCU. I heard you today on John Campia's show talk about that we're going to get a Avengers, not Endgame, but Doomsday trailer. And I wanted to ask you, in your personal opinion, how critical is it? Because as a fan, I love Thunderbolts.
I did too.
I love Fantastic Four. Cap 4, not so much. But
No.
the most recent movies that have come out, I've enjoyed. If this trailer does not hit or if it's really mixed, will this movie Is it an overreaction to say that this movie probably won't hit $1 billion
Yeah,
or
I
even
mean,
be successful?
no, I think right now the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we talk about this all the time, but so Marvel's been around since 2008, the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Iron
Right.
Man, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man being the first one. Now we're in 2025, so it's been what, 22 years
Yeah.
now, 2008, 18. No, it's been longer than that. So we're, oh yeah, 2008 to 18 was 10 years, and now, so it's 27 years.
Yeah.
So pardon me, not 27 years. It's been 17 years. So it's
17 years.
17
Yes.
years. And
Mm.
that's pretty unprecedented for a franchise. So it's been
Mhm.
17 years. And the thing is, like, look, I think Infinity War and Endgame are two of the most wildly entertaining movies I've ever seen. I love them.
Mhm.
They bring my childhood to life. I think the way that they were handled and how it was all built up, it was amazing.
Mhm.
The first 23 movies of the Infinity Saga were amazing,
Mhm.
incredible. And then since then, and I don't understand this, but when Marvel started out the MCU, they made three Iron Man movies, three Captain America movies, and three Thor movies
Mhm.
before they, went into Infinity War and Endgame. So we really knew who they were.
Mhm.
Nine of those first 22 movies were the three movies with our main characters, getting to know them. And then
Mhm.
by the time you get to the Avengers, they all band together because you know them and love them. You can't wait. You're like, oh my God, all these characters are getting together. The problem that I have with what they're doing now is no one even knows who's in the Avengers other than Sam
Yeah.
Wilson. You've got the new Avengers, which is a new team, which whatever. And then you've got, the core group, but we don't know who the core group is, so you can't anticipate loving a movie. So you have this idea of Doctor Doom, and we kind of know more about him and what's
Mhm.
going to happen. Like, why is Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom? There's got to be something going on. What's his
Mhm.
plan? What does he want? And I think this trailer, I was talking earlier on the John Campy show that up until this point, I think up until 2025, the single
Mhm.
most important piece of promotional of a trailer was like the 4-minute trailer they showed at CinemaCon for exhibitors for Titanic. And
Right.
Titanic, because everyone thought Titanic was a disaster. All they heard was budget
Mhm.
overruns and this, that, and the other thing. And when they showed that they made, normally nobody makes a 3.5 to 4 minute trailer. Nobody does
Mhm.
that. Trailers are 90 minutes to
To
90
a
seconds
minute.
to 2 minutes. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when they showed Titanic to the exhibitors and they saw the first footage, they were all blown away. They're like,
Mhm.
oh my God, this movie's incredible. And so
Mhm.
that's what this Endgame trailer has to do. It has
Mhm.
to leave everybody breathless. And they're going to stick it in front of avatars. So hopefully a lot of people will see it. But if it's not good, they have a real problem.
And it's funny. I was telling my friends, I said, this is the first time I've ever been worried about an Avengers trailer.
I
And
know, right?
I'm like, every Avengers movie has been good up until now. And it's like, I can't believe I'm at a place that we're doubting Marvel. And I wanted to ask,
I know.
do you think if we didn't have a pandemic, do you think that because in 2019 they were riding high, do you think we would have still continued that? Or do you
I
think it would have been where it is now?
I think it would have been somewhere in between because I think the problem that Marvel had was they
Mhm.
knew they were going to tell the Infinity Saga and they had this vague notion we're going to do this multiverse thing, but they hadn't thought it through. So they were
Right.
the phases 4, 5, and 6 of the MCU they've made up as they went along essentially. So it
Mhm.
was hard like when we're watching when you know that Thanos is running about in the universe, it was exciting. If you want something
Mhm.
done, you can do it yourself. And he puts on the Infinity Gauntlet for the first
Right.
time. And
Right.
we don't have that in the MCU. We don't have a villain. I mean, we know first it was going to be Kang, but he was kind of toothless. Now we know it's Doctor Doom is going to be in it. It's going to be Robert Downey Jr. and he's got a plan. He's going to destroy the multiverse and bring the Earth back together and all this crazy stuff, which I'll watch. But
It's not like you said, when we got the first Avengers movie and we got that tease of Thanos. I remember leaving the theater. It was like, who is that purple monkey? Like, who is,
right,
and who? I
with the
remember that,
ball
and then
sack on his chin,
exactly, I
what's
remember,
going
and then
on
I
there?
remember that first trailer for Infinity War. everybody was losing their mind. And you saw
I
the
was I
scrap.
was losing my mind.
And right, and then now when I remember seeing Fantastic Four, and we see the end credit scene, spoiler if you haven't seen it, where Doom is well, the child is touching Doom's face and he's holding his mask in his hand. I remember seeing in the theater, I'm like, it's cool, but it's not climactic. Like he's just there.
Right.
It'd been different if like he was doing like a threatening motion.
Yeah.
Like
So I totally agree.
but my next question I wanted to ask really quickly is that when you and John, because I know that you guys have friends in the industry, is there any, and I want to be careful in asking this because I don't want you to expose any secrets that people may have told you.
Sure.
But I want to ask, do you know for a fact, or not for a fact, but do you know that what they announced in regards to who's cast? Do you know that there's more individuals in that movie? Do you know who's in it outside of what they
I know a
announced?
few. I know a few people that are in it, but I won't. I can't say obviously. But yeah, I think there's a
Okay.
lot. There's at least another chair watch worth of people in the movie. You know, we
Okay.
called that thing chair because they just. I think that was the first wave before when they started shooting, or that was close to the beginning of production, and they added
Mm-hmm.
more people as they went along. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I look, I'm deliriously excited to see Doomsday. I don't care. I'm a shameless Marvel fanboy. I've been since I was a little kid, and
Mm-hmm.
just seeing the way they brought the characters to life. For the most part, the casting is impeccable, the costuming is impeccable. I just love it all.
And my last question in regards to our fan questions are, out of this year from Marvel and DC, which one stood out the most to you?
Well, I mean, DC was the bigger question because what was James gonna do with Superman, and would it work? Would it tie in? Would it make people interested in the whole universe? And I think, yeah, it did. And we had Peacemaker season 2 come out afterwards. Lanterns is finished. Supergirl's shooting. The was it Sandman? Not Sandman.
Clayface.
Clayface. Why am I thinking
Mm-hmm.
Sandman? Spider-Man. Clayface is Batman. But yeah, so they got
Yes.
the Clayface movie and Supergirl shooting. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't wait to see Lanterns. They announced today that they're doing a Jimmy Olsen TV series.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna call like DC crime something,
Yeah,
crime
DC
something.
Crime, or yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Look, I loved Jim. I loved who they cast for Jimmy Olsen. I thought Jimmy Olsen was great in the movie,
yeah, he
and it was so
was.
funny how the hot gun mole working for Luther was like, "But I love you. Why don't you come with
Mm.
me?" I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh,
So,
I'm sorry. I saw this from one of my commenters. He wanted me to ask you, how much money have you spent on, or well, the question is, how much money have you spent on physical media and hot toys? Which one's the most?
oh, it's got to be physical media only because of the sheer volume. But
Mm-hmm.
like, it's hard to explain. Like, I have so many. You can kind of see. Well, you can like off camera, for instance, like. Here's my Mr. Knight version of Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
You
Yeah.
know, and I just haven't put him on the shelf yet with the other Moon Knight. So
Mm-hmm.
there's and if I were to show, like, for instance, look at this. This is right next to me on my shelf, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are unfiled discs. And
Wow.
and this is, if you were to look around me, there's probably 200 discs just sitting around me here that I haven't filed. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's boxes full of discs. I mean,
Oh, yeah, I
they're
see. Yeah.
they're everywhere. There's discs right there. There's so
Mm-hmm.
many discs, and I get a lot from the studios now, but I buy a lot still too. Like, I'll give you an example. I buy boutique labels. This is a Hong Kong movie from 88 Films in the UK called The Cat.
Oh,
And
wow.
this movie is insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely insane. And
Mm-hmm.
I look at all this stuff with the cool packaging and the I can't get enough. And like, I'd never seen this movie, and my co-host Dieter Bastian, he bought it. He sent me a message on WhatsApp. He's like, "Dude, you have to get this movie." And
Mm-hmm.
I'd never heard of it. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"All right, well, if you say so." And he said, "Oh, I say so." And I got this, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "This movie's insane." I don't know any other way that I would have seen this movie
Hmm.
had I not got it on physical media, you know.
Hmm.
And it's a habit. I've been buying physical media for, and with 4Ks being the way they are, I've been buying physical media since I was 13 years old,
Hmm.
and now the buying 4Ks and things, it's like the best physical media ever. And I'm kind of curating this collection. Like, it's so funny. By the time I'm done with all my physical media, it'll on that day I'll probably drop dead. All the discs were alphabetized, everything is put away. Then I dropped dead. People were like, "Why did he have these movies? What was the point of this? Is there even a player here?" But I've collected movies my whole life. It's more like a habit than anything else. And now we're
Hmm.
getting better versions of movies than we've ever got before. And
Yeah.
so the transfers and going up to 4K, it's absolutely amazing what we're able to get now.
It's funny you say that because my dad still has the original tapes of Star Wars Episode 4, 5, and 6,
Yeah.
and I remember seeing the DVDs of them of the 4K remasters and how they're recolored, and I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, it's such a big difference.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So,
So,
I wanted to ask, as we're wrapping up the interview really quickly, where can we find True Noir and how can we support you in what you're doing?
well, it'd be great. I mean, True Noir, you can actually buy it from our website now. It's just at True Noir, just the words True Noir, one to put together, truenoir.co, no com, and you can buy the series. Also, there's a feature film that I produced. I didn't direct or write it or anything. I didn't even edit this one. I just produced it, called White Devils. That's based on a South African playwright's work from 1985. And you can get that movie. You can get it for the next couple weeks at least at whitedevilsthemovie.com, and it'll take you to where you can buy the film. And it's kind of a special online preview just to gauge people's responses for the movie before it's not even entirely finished, but it's the pictures all there and the sounds all there, so you can see it and it looks and sounds pretty good. So you can go there, or you can find me on my YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, and under every if you want to support me or just watch the shows, I try and do like 3 or 4 a week. And then on Sundays with Dieter Bastian in Germany, I do a Let's Get Physical Media show where we talk about all the news of the week and what we bought and what we're hoping to buy and all that kind of stuff. And it's a lot of fun. I didn't even know this guy, Dieter Bastian, except during the pandemic. Everyone's locked at home or whatever. And I found out they were releasing this 1975 science fiction movie called Rollerball, not the remake with Chris Klein, but the original Rollerball in 4K, and I needed to get this box set from Germany, and I knew that Dieter watched my show, and like I contacted him out of the blue, or maybe he contacted me because I said, "Hey man, if you can get me this disc," and he was in Germany, so he got me this disc, and we started talking, and I really liked him, and I said, "You and I should do a show." And he's like, a YouTube show? Like he would never think about doing his own YouTube show. And I go, yeah, we should do a show about physical media. And he
Yeah.
goes, I'll do that. And so we only do it on Sundays at 11 o'clock, but I
Yep.
think our 219th show is next. So,
Yeah.
and we do that once a week. I mean, been doing it for almost five years, and it's crazy. Of course, then I feel a pressure to get more discs. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Dude, with all of those discs, you're probably gonna have to buy another house just to put all
Dude,
of your discs in.
it's insane. It's like I have a corridor. I'm in my observatory where you see now is just it's basically my garage. But if
Mm,
you go that way, there's a wall, there's a bookshelf. You see these bookshelves, there's another wall of bookshelves there. But on the
mm,
other side is a corridor that you can walk down where you have all my movies. It's like the Criterion Closet. You can walk in and you can see
mm.
everything all around you. And that's
Oh
the way I
wow.
like it. Just looking at everything. And then of course, you bring people down to look and you get judged. It's like, "Oh, why do you have that movie?" I'm like, "I don't know, maybe want to see it again one day. I don't want to have to not be able to find it." And well, that movie's not very good. I'm like, "I know, but I can learn from even the worst movies." So for
Yeah.
whatever reason, I have these because I'm for some reason I'm interested in them. So
Yeah, I never thought I'd see the day where Walmart and Best Buy would stop selling DVDs. And we're at that point now where I can't even go. I mean, they still sell them, but it's not as they don't have those big bins anymore. And it's
No,
like
no, 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 no.
and we're getting to the point where everything's either on streaming or you just purchase it from Amazon or Google Play. So
Yeah.
it's cool. It's cool to see that you have that collection. And I want to thank you once again to being on the show. I know I've done you've done my show. If this will be your third time, I would love to do your show, the Burnett work, or
Yeah,
also
come on. Come on. Let's do it.
I would love to do that because I love Let's Get Physical Media because it's like a retro show where that's an era I was a part of because my dad, like to this day, his garage is full of VHS tapes
Right.
and DVDs to an extent. So it's just like, well, like every DVD that I or every movie that I watched, we always had a copy of until I got obviously on my own. So,
Right.
but yeah, but I want to thank you again for being on the show. You mentioned where we can find you and follow you. You're also on the John Campea show, Monday through Friday. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, Monday through Friday from 11 o'clock Pacific to 12 o'clock. And, I really like doing his show because we cover the actual entertainment news of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we cover breaking stories, and we're not talking about, oh, this is good or this isn't good. We're talking about what's happening. Like this movie's coming out. What do you think about it? And what's going on here and what's going on there. So it's a lot of fun. I love doing that show. And John keeps it very structured, like an Entertainment Tonight show. So it's really well done.
Yeah, it is. And I love what he's been able to do, especially with the movie meetups. I'm in Orlando, so he'll be in Orlando, I think, sometime this month. So
Well, you got to go.
hopefully I
Yeah,
get to
you
see
guys.
him.
I have to tell you, I went to the movie meetup in Vegas. And so how
Mhm,
it works is, yeah, you all go to the movie. But then
mhm,
afterwards, John just sticks around. And in the case of Vegas, I was just sticking around and we get to meet everybody that came. And for the most part, it's been such a great experience meeting all your viewers. And they're
mhm.
so nice and they're so interesting. And I would like to have gone to all the movie meetups, but driving to Houston and driving to Austin, oh my God, I don't think John knows how big Texas really is. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's
but
huge.
I'm sure, in Orlando, you guys will have a great time and you got to go up and say hello.
Oh, definitely, definitely. When he gets here, I will definitely say hello, watch the movie, and definitely say hello. But again, I want to thank you for being on the show. And once again, you guys, please like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel where you get all the updates of every time I'm releasing a video here on Momentum Media. And again, I want to thank Robert for being on the show. Go to his channel. I will leave his links in the description below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, you guys, have a blessed day.